Hey everyone and welcome back. Now I hope you remember that we were discussing about configuration precedence and we had done a small demo by looking into the configuration which is in default and configuration which is in local, and we had changed the port, and whatever port that we had defined in local took the higher precedence. However, app is something that we had ignored during that practical. So what I wanted to quickly show is also look into how app will have a higher precedence than the default is something that we'll quickly look into today's practical, so that we understand this entire diagram that we have. So I'm in my Splunk Docker container, and if you quickly do a netstat ntlp, you will see that my Splunk D is running on port 8000. Now the reason why it's running on port 8000 is because it is taking this specific value from the web.conf in the default directory. Now we don't really have any web.conf in. Let's quickly find it out. We go to opt splunk etc system local, and if you see, we don't really have any web.conf here, and this is the reason why it is taking the default value. However, let's look into what will happen if we create a new app, and within app we have a web.conf defined. So in order to do that, we'll go to opt splunk, we'll go to etc apps, and I'll do a test underscore app here, and within test underscore app I'll create a new directory called as local, and within the local directory basically we need to have a configuration related to web.conf. So in order to fetch the sample config of web.conf, we'll go to opt splunk etc default web.conf. So let's go a bit down, and we are more interested in this default section. These are the configurations that we'll take, and we'll add it in the web.conf in my apps directory. So instead of port 8000, I'll put it as 8001 over here, and once you have done that, you can go ahead and restart your Splunk directory. Perfect. So the Splunk is restarted, and now if you will see, it is running on port 8001. So this is one thing that we checked, that default has port 8000, app has port 8001. Splunk took the configuration setting which was present in app. So now we know that app has a higher configuration precedence than the default directory. So the last practical that we'll do today is we'll copy the same web.conf into opt splunk etc system local, and let's go to opt splunk etc system local, and this time on web.conf we'll put HTTP port at 8002, and now let's see on which configuration file will have a higher precedence. So if you do opt splunk bin splunk restart. Perfect. So now that the Splunk is restarting, you will see that this time it is trying to bound to the port 8002, and you see it's waiting for a web server at port 8002. So with this, I'm sure now we can conclude that even though you have settings at app and you have settings at local, whatever setting that you have in etc system local always takes a higher precedence irrespective of what you have within the apps as well as the default directory. So that's about it for today's video, a short one but important one that will really help you in a longer term.